Dear students, to study plant tissues in detail, kindly refer this video. Plant tissues are basically the aggregation of the cells in the plant body. They are mainly of two types, meristematic and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues are the rapidly dividing tissues and their only role is to divide within the plant. But when we see about the features of meristematic tissue, here it is clear that they are small in size, they are thin walled, they do not have any intercellular spaces, and vacuoles may or may not be present. And if the vacuoles are present, they will be of smaller size, but in most of the meristematic tissues, vacuoles are absent. Whereas when we talk about the permanent tissue, they have lost the property of cell division. The permanent tissues are comparatively larger in size because they have a large vacuole in them. They are comparatively thick in cell wall as compared to meristematic ones, and they have intercellular spaces between them. Meristematic tissues are of three types: apical meristem, intercalary, and lateral meristem. Apical meristem are located on the shoot and root tips. Here in the diagram you can also see that the shoot tip contains apical meristem. Intercalary meristem is found at the base area from where the branches originate, and the lateral meristem is found at the base of the stem, which is responsible for increasing the diameter. So here in this diagram it is very much clear the three locations of the three different type of meristem, and these three type of meristem play different roles in the plant body. Then is permanent tissues. Permanent tissues are the one which are formed from the meristematic one, but they have lost the property of cell division. Permanent tissues are of two types, simple permanent and complex permanent tissues. The simple permanent tissues are of three types, parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma, and complex one are of two types, xylem and phloem. In parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma, the one thing which is common is that they all belong to the simple permanent tissues and hence are made up of one type of cells. Parenchyma are thin-walled, loosely arranged, they have intercellular spaces in them, whereas collenchyma, you can see in the diagram, they are comparatively more closely associated because there is a deposition called pectocellulose in between them. Hence, they do not have intercellular spaces. When it comes to sclerenchyma, they are the most rigid type of the plant tissues, simple permanent tissues in the plant body, because they have a deposition of lignin, and most of the sclerenchyma in the plant body are dead. Initially when these are formed, they are living, but later on, due to the excessive deposition of the lignin, the sclerenchyma becomes dead. This is microscopic view of parenchymal cells. This is microscopic view of collenchymal cells. The stain in this slide is bit less, but we can see that these are quite tightly packed as compared to parenchymal. This is microscopic view of sclerenchymal cells. On one part of the slide we can clearly see the cells are quite thick-walled. Then is the modification of parenchymal cells. There are two types of modification of parenchymal cells, erenchyma and chlorenchyma. Erenchyma is the one which is found in aquatic plants. You can see the leaf of aquatic plant containing erenchyma, which have air stored within them. The air makes the weight of the leaf lighter and hence provide them ability to float on water. Hence it is known as buoyancy. So the role of erenchyma is in providing buoyancy to the plant. Whereas when it comes to chlorenchyma, they are special parenchymal cells which contain chlorophyll pigment in them. So wherever chlorophyll pigment is present, it is going to absorb the solar radiation and is going to help in photosynthesis. Yes, dear students. So complex permanent tissues. Complex permanent tissue is made up of different types of cells. The two main type of complex permanent tissues are xylem and phloem. Xylem conducts water and mineral, which is called as sap, and phloem conducts only food. Xylem translocates the sap unidirectionally, whereas phloem translocates the food multidirectionally. Xylem is made up of four types of cells: xylem parenchyma, xylem fiber, tracheids, and vessels, whereas phloem is made up of four main types of cell: sieve tube, companion cell, phloem fiber, and phloem parenchyma. Tracheids and vessels are the main conducting cells within the xylem. They are only conducting water from the root to the upper part of the plant, whereas sieve tube cell are the only conducting cell within the phloem. In xylem, one cell is living and three is dead, whereas in phloem, three are living and one is dead. So the living cell is xylem parenchyma in xylem, whereas the dead cell in the phloem, that is phloem fibers. So students can understand by this the four different types of cells of the xylem. Xylem has vessels which are cylindrical, little bit broad. They have tracheids which are sharp-ended cells which are also known as tapering cells of the xylem, and xylem parenchyma and xylem fiber. The only living cell within the xylem xylem is xylem parenchyma. Its role is just to store the food. And when it comes to phloem is made up of sieve tube, which is also known as sieve tube cells. It is always found in very close association with companion cells. Companion cells are just adjacent to the sieve tube cells. Then there is parenchymal cell and the phloem fiber. Parenchymal cell in both the cases, either in xylem or in phloem, is only helpful in just storage of the food. So this is all about xylem and phloem, right? These are the cylindrical cells, and when earth was formed, the early plants did not have these tissues, xylem and phloem, in them. They are the development seen in the plants later on after the bryophyte.